SoundCloud. And let's see here. I'm going to live custom stream it. We are live custom stream on Do the Broadcast here. We are live. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Messages of Inspiration and Hope is brought to you by the speakerspathway.com and the 6-Minute Webinar. Let me share my screen for a few moments and show you a little bit about the Speakers Pathway. Let's see, here we go. This is our homepage right here, speakerspathway.com. You can see it up there. We got complimentary gifts, but here's the messages of inspiration and hope. And these are some of just 3 of the speakers we've had on before. But if you click on that message there, we'll see more. You see this page here. We got several pages there, lots of speakers there. You can click on them. You can see the different speakers there. And if you click on a particular speaker, let's see here. There's Nancy Benita. She's been on a couple of times. She's actually been on a radio show with me. I'm going to give a shout out to Nancy. And she talks about 3 powerful tackling the daily mind flicks of feeling rejected and unlovable. But Nancy is she has a TV show called The Manifest, and she's all about helping us guys, get tuned in and understand why we can't cry and all those wonderful things and can't communicate well, but sincerely. And I mean that sincerely about her too. But when you look at these speakers, if you click on a speaker's topic, and you can relate to what this speaker here, like Courtney, she gave a great presentation. And, she was really sincere about what she's doing. And the same thing with Gail. I mean, any of these speakers here, if you resonate with their message, please get in touch with them and let them know. Just say thank you. Because all of these folks, they donated their time, their effort, their energy, everything to provide their message to you during this pandemic. That's why the Messages of Inspiration and Hope and Support show was actually created. So please take advantage of that. We're also sponsored by the 6-Minute Webinar. There's a little video on the 6-Minute Webinar. You can see it spelt 6, S-I-X, minutewebinar.com. You click on that. And really what this 6-Minute Webinar is all about is to be able to deliver one of your products or one of your services to your potential client. And you're going to have an introduction, the problem that you solve, how you solve it, and a call to action, all within less than 6 minutes. This has been a very powerful tool. We're getting ready to kick this thing off. And if you'd like to know more about it, get in touch with us here at speakerspathway.com or go to the 6-Minute Webinar and say, hey, tell me more. You can click on the information there. And when you register, we get the blueprint, the video training, step-by-step action guide, the script templates, PowerPoints, all those good things. So anyway, check us out. And most importantly, thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm going to bring a young speaker on here. Let's see, I think I gave myself the spotlight there. I don't know. Sometimes I get goofed up working these cameras. And I always have when I'm on the radio. I've done we've got over 5 million downloads on our radio show, Your Future Is Now. It's on the TogiNet, TogiNet.com. That's Togi, T-O-G-I, netnet.com. And like I said, we've got over 5 million downloads. We're also on iHeartRadio. We're on Google Podcasts. We're on Spotify. We're on iTunes. Your Future Is Now is the name of the show. And normally it has a little icon there where you'll see my face and also you'll say, oh, that's that guy. But I want to welcome Philip Turner to the show today. And Philip, let me give you the spotlight. There we go. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, Jim. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, yeah. This is your second time. This is your second time. Yeah. And we're so glad to have you back. You're going to be talking to us about a topic that's overcoming the feelings of sadness. And that's a very important topic. I know you're very good and well-versed in that subject. So we're all of us looking forward to your message. So let me do 2 things. Let me shut off my camera and mute my microphone, and the stage is yours.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much again for having me on. I'm very, very grateful for this. And as another shout out, I did watch um, Courtney's uh, talk that she gave along with Nancy's as well, and both super incredible. So anyway, my name is Philip Turner. I'm a men's divorce coach, empowering men to thrive through their divorce and step up to fulfill their core purpose. And what I want to talk about today is overcoming the feelings of sadness. Now, in my line of work, helping men who are sometimes in a constant state of sadness is a pretty regular occurrence. And I've been in those same shoes myself with my own divorce. And I remember how painful it was day in and day out. So a little backstory for me, my ex moved our daughter and herself almost 700 miles away when we separated. And I only got to see her about every month and a half to 2 months or so in person. And then we video chatted every day. So you could probably imagine all of the things that a father who cares deeply about their child could be feeling when they don't get to see them often enough, or sometimes not at all. I was experiencing feelings of sadness, helplessness, worthlessness, inadequacy, disempowerment, and much more, all eventually stacking up to even suicidal thoughts. So what I discovered was that all these feelings are either wholly or partially rooted in a feeling of sadness, of either not having what I want or fully understanding what I want on some level, or more importantly, having an expectation that simply isn't being met. Now, sadness is obviously not just exclusive to divorce, but it is something that we have all experienced. So I want to offer some steps or bullet points that really help me overcome sadness, and perhaps it can help you as well. So the first thing is simply acceptance. Now, like so many other first steps of any type of transformation, is understanding what you're going through and accepting it for what it is. Do not plan to live here in this state indefinitely, like, oh, this is how it is now and how it's going to be forever, so there's no point in doing anything about it. No, you're still going to need to take action, or want to take action, and not live in misery, but accepting the feelings you're having will keep you from burying them. It's okay to feel down, it's okay to feel depressed, and it's okay to embrace your emotions. But notice how I said embrace your emotions, meaning that they're separate from you and your emotions are not who you are. You're not a sad person. You're just a person who's experiencing sadness right now. Step 2 is practice gratitude. Now, last time on my last talk here, here on Speaker's Pathway, I discussed the magnitude of gratitude and how it can help reframe any situation into an amazing experience that is gifting your life tons of incredible gifts. Today, what I'd like to recommend regarding gratitude is writing down 5 things each day that you're grateful for and why. The why is important because it adds importance and impact. So by the end of the week, you'll have a list of 35 things that are blessing your life and how impactful each one really is. It's actually really, really incredible practice to start taking up. Gratitude helps us open our eyes to visually see all of the abundance in our lives, and will help just melt away the sadness, because it shifts the focus from what we don't have to all the things that we do have. Step 3, take care of your basic needs, as in take care of your body. Learn to be present to the moment through meditation or yoga. Eat good food, get good sleep, get plenty of exercise. Don't self-medicate through drugs and alcohol. If you have at least 2 brain cells to rub together, you could probably figure out that feeling physically good and energetic will have a very positive effect on your mood. And it's amazing how not feeling crappy helps us feel good. Step 4 is do everything for you. Now, I originally had this as do something for you, as in do something you enjoy and don't feel guilty about scheduling time to do what you like. But I wanted to change it because everything you do should be for you. If it's not getting you closer to a goal or bringing you pleasure, then why are you doing it? it's your life. Everything you do should be for you. Even the most generous of gestures they're all rooted in some form of self-satisfaction. So understanding that everything we do is for us and how it benefits us really helps give us purpose and gives the actions that we take meaning. The last and final step that I have for you, and definitely the most important, is get to the cause and change it. Now, oftentimes this is all we really need, but this is sometimes easier said than done because there can be a lot of layers to go through before we're able to truly identify the cause of our sadness. But I want to give you a recent example of what I went through and just a little snippet of what I discovered. Now, remember how I mentioned before that I rarely got to see my daughter? Well, after making some huge life changes in my life, I created a situation where I got to have her for 6 weeks straight this summer, which is more time in one stretch than I've gotten in the last year total, which is a huge win for me and for her. I actually just took her back. To her mom this last weekend. Obviously, I was really sad to see her go, like really sad, with tears and everything at the airport, and people looking at me like I'm like I'm crazy, this grown man crying after she left. But why exactly was I so sad, and what could be done about it? Now, the remedy is a lot deeper than just kidnap her and keep her here with me all the time until the end of time. So clearly I can't do that. And I cannot have my happiness be based off of the presence of someone else. Because once they're gone, or once that presence is taken away, our happiness is taken away as well. So one example of many that I found of why I was sad was because of a fear that I was going to miss out on some important or key moments in her life because I'm not there with her. But I knew that that wasn't it, so I had to dig deeper. What does it say about me as a father or person that I'm not there with her to experience every life moment of hers? Well, to me, it means that I'm not a good father. So dig deeper, Philip. Why does this seem to be true, that I'm not a good father? Because I'm not spending enough time with her, which means to me that I'm a deadbeat dad. Dig deeper. What is enough time? Oh, well, crap. I don't really honestly know what enough time is. I could never be with anyone 24/7. So there's really no measurable answer. Can I still be a great father with less time than other fathers get? Absolutely. There's no way to gauge how effective of a father I could be given any specified amount of time. So glad I got that part cleared up. Now, who defines a deadbeat dad? Well, I do. It's a standard that I've set for myself not to become one. Dig deeper, Philip. If someone else was to put in all of the effort that I do and love their child the way that I do, love their daughter, or love their child the way I love my daughter, would I ever be able to call them a deadbeat dad? Or a deadbeat in general? Absolutely not. So does it seem right, or does it seem fair that I say those things about myself then? It doesn't. And why exactly am I sad? Because of a metric that I put on myself that determines my worth as a father, despite there being no evidence or data that proves that it's true or accurate. Now, is it possible to change this metric? Absolutely. This is what I found as the source of my sadness, or part of it. There's a little bit more, but this type of work is not always easy. It's not always possible to take on without guidance or some sort of mentor to help check your blind spots and help you see what's lying underneath. There was actually many more fears and many more layers than just this, but I want to try to keep it simple and just give you this basic example, not diving too deep, so I can at least illustrate what it looks like. So to wrap it up, I gave you 5 steps. Number 1, accept and embrace the emotion. Number 2, practice gratitude. 3, take care of the basics, take care of your body. Number 4 is do everything for you. Number 5 is get to the cause and change it. With these 5 steps, you'll be able to overcome feelings of sadness along with many other emotions that are also undesirable, and be on your way to living a life that you long for. Again, my name is Philip Turner. I can be reached at Philip Turner at levelupmentoring.com. So it's kind of, I had to put this together really, really quick before I got on. So it's lvlupmentoring.com. And if you have any questions or would like to talk more about how to become truly empowered throughout your divorce and discover your core purpose and live it in spite of fear. So thank you all for listening, and thank you so much for the opportunity to speak here today, Jim.
Well, thank you, young fella. I tell you right now, it's you've really gone through a lot in your life. And let me cut off the camera here just a moment, please. And while we're talking, and Philip, you've been on before, and I've heard you speak, and you have a very open, honest way of, revealing, your personal struggles. And the beauty in that is that once you overcome your struggles, then you're set up and you go and grow, and you can learn to where you can actually help someone else in their struggles. And that's what I really admire about you. And, the one thing that I like, about what you said, I'm going to be paraphrasing this a little bit, but, it's good to love yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we don't feel like we're worthy of doing that. We find kind of like, I don't know if I should love myself or not, but you got to love yourself first, because
Right.
that's the only way you can share it with someone else. You can only share what you got.
Right. And a lot of times
And
we hold ourselves to a way higher standard than
mhm,
we do with anyone else. And it's really not fair to us. So,
right, right. And sometimes we actually beat ourselves up unnecessarily. We live in fear. And there's good fear and bad fear. The fear that I'm talking about is the fear that automatically, shoves you into worry.
right.
That's the bad fear. That's what, enslaves us. That's what shackles us and all that. And right now in this day and time, one thing that we definitely need more of is love and respect, because we're not seeing that in our world today. And we know that that does not come from the senior in the sky, as I like to call him, the higher source. But in your talk today, in talking with dads, there's a lot of dads out there that, maybe they're trying to do the right thing, but they beat themselves up unnecessarily. They look at what they cannot do as opposed to what they can do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really like the idea when you pointed out, I had 6 weeks with my daughter, but that was 6 quality weeks. Sometimes a dad living with his daughter 52 weeks out of the year doesn't have that much quality time with his daughter or any kid or even his wife for that matter. I mean, it's, I guess if your goal is to do hard time in the old hacienda, that's a good way to go. But my point being is that, giving your daughter 6 quality, weeks there that you had, and knowing that she knows, and that she knows that she, you love her and all that, it's a joy and a jubilee for her. It's a treat for her to come and see her dad.
Right.
And that's a wonderful thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. Yeah, it really is. And
Mhm.
honestly, sharing just a little bit more, but honestly, my
Sure.
divorce has helped my relationship with her in a lot of
Hmm.
ways that I didn't have before. I mean, she was so young
Yeah.
before we separated, but
Hmm.
every time I'm with her, it's just stronger and stronger and stronger each time.
Oh,
And
yeah. Oh, yeah.
it is really
Means a
powerful.
lot. I mean, I served 31 years in the United States Army, and I knew some guys that were, I was gone a lot during my military career. I mean, even though I was a reservist, I mean, I volunteered, several times. I was on Operation Desert Storm. And of course, I served in Vietnam in 69 and 70. And, I was gone a lot. And every time that there was, something that came up, I'd either get volunteered or they would volunteer me, one of the two. And yeah, so it's, I understand what you're saying there about, being a distant dad is the way I looked at it from time to time, but still the kids know that you love them and you stay in touch with them. And that's critical. It really is for them to know that you love them and you're there for them. That's the main message that any dad wants to get, to his children. It should, and rightfully so. And I want to thank you for being with us today. I'm going to bring on our next speaker there. I didn't get a chance to speak with her before we got started. I'm going to bring her on and let her share her information and all. And if you're able to hang around a little bit after the show, or if Nancy's free after the after the show, we come back in, we do a wrap up, invite her in, because Nancy Benitez has been on our show twice, and so she's part of our family here. So let me turn on the spotlight here for ask to start video. There we go. Is that Kenyatta? Is that the way you pronounce your name? You got your,
Yes.
okay. Okay,
Yes, it
good,
is.
good.
Can you hear me? Yes,
Yeah,
can
I
you
hear,
me?
I hear you fine, yeah.
Okay.
Normally I mispronounce names 100% all the time.
100%.
Yeah, I got a degree in that. Let me give you the spotlight video, and we're so glad you're with us today.
Sure, thank you.
And your topic you're going to be talking with us about, what is it, please?
It is behavior matters more than ever right now.
Yes, ma'am, it does, doesn't it? And we should be showing a lot more love, huh?
Yes, yes.
Absolutely. And most importantly, it's very important for us to, let's be honest, to pray one for another, because we all need it. We really do.
Yes.
But I don't want to take up your precious time. And for us to get a good copy of your video and all, let me do a
Sure.
couple things.
Okay.
Let me, let's see here. Let me mute, let me cut off, I'm going to cut off Philip's mic. He's got his mic muted and cut off his camera. But let me shut off my video and mute my mic. And the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. Thank you, Jim and Philip. I just listened to your talk. It was fantastic, and even just the dialogue afterwards. So I was glad I was able to participate in that. So I'm glad to be here. And, I want you to think about something for a moment. There was a fight in 1997 with Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield. And in that fight, Mike Tyson bit off a portion of Evander Holyfield's ear. And it's reported that when he was asked about that fight and how he felt about it, he said that everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. And in that moment, emotions are high, anxiety, fear, all these things probably bubbled up in him that had a lot to do with emotions and may have led to decision-making in that moment that wouldn't have, not typically ideal, right? Going to bite someone's ear off. He knew better, but in that moment, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. So I want you to think about that as I go through this conversation, and how I believe that 2020 has punched the world in the mouth. That's how I really look at it. And that's why I say that behavior matters. And I say hashtag behavior matters more than ever right now. And why is that important? Well, if you think about the things that happen that cause stress, anxiety, fear, love, greed, all of those serious emotions, that is when our behavior, our natural hardwired behavior, comes out loud and proud, where it's amplified. And that could be a good thing, which I call superpowers, behavioral superpowers specifically, or that could be kryptonite. It just depends on the situation and what might serve you in that moment. So right now I'm going to talk to you about 5 areas where this is important. But first, my name is Kenyatta Turner. I am the founder of Freedom Empire Consulting, where I help my clients build and shield their freedom empires. I decode human behavior and I optimize performance using validated and scientific behavioral insights. I'm also the chief behavioral superpowers consultant for a company named Dream Smart Academy, and I also serve on their national advisory board. We coach, train, mentor teens, young adults, professionals, and we actually are building a behavioral superpowers universe that has many dimensions. And right now I'm going to speak to you about 5 areas where behavior is going to matter. I am an outgoing, fast-paced influencer. That's one of the behavioral superpowers. There's 10 of them. Influencer is one of them. I know that I have a hardwired innate behavior style, things that I do that can either improve my performance or derail my performance. And I've had these specific behaviors since I was a toddler, as you have as well. These things are starting to be wired in our amygdala as young as the age of 3. That's why if you have a younger brother or sister or someone you grew up with, or even a child, there's certain things that you say that they always do. You've always done that. You always say that. You always show up late. You're always early. Your room's always clean. Your room's always dirty, right? These are things that are just innate. there are behaviors. And that's exactly what we measure. We measure that hardwired behavior because those things don't change very much over time. Strengths and weaknesses is not what I'm speaking about, because a strength doesn't necessarily, a behavior is not necessarily a strength or a weakness. It just depends on the situation. So the 5 situations I want to talk about where behavior matters more than ever right now, this minute, okay, is in the classroom, dealing with teacher and student relations, in the workplace, dealing with employee-employer relations, in the home, where there could be intimate relationship dynamics, the internet or social media, obviously there's a digital relationship there. And then more importantly, and this affects all of it, is within oneself, self-awareness. That is the place where it all begins. So let me dig into this just a little bit more, right? Think about it, a classroom situation. Let's say you've got 2 students and both of them have the same homework assignment. They have the same thing they need to do. But if you knew what their behavior was or paid attention to it, you would know that one might just always be very flexible in how they do things. That was me. One might be extremely concrete and systematic in how they do things. Maybe very systematic and very organized. Maybe someone like me who will come in hot, 3 bullet points, and I can figure it out, right? So those are 2 different types of dynamic, and those 2 students may be treated differently by the instructor because the instructor has their own behavioral style. And right now, when tensions are high, anxiety, uncertainty, all of these emotions that we are going through, our behaviors are amplified more than ever. Who you naturally are and that moment is going to come out when things happen that you feel like you can't control. So either you have a plan or not, who you are naturally wired is going to come out, unless you put in practice what I call the situational awareness. To know thyself or to know yourself, you must first sacrifice the illusion that you already do. Veronica Tugleva said that. I love that. To know yourself, you must sacrifice the illusion that you already do. And that's why taking a moment to learn about yourself in a way that might be new to you, to gather self-awareness in a way and really think about what your natural instinctive behavior might be, can be critical in a moment when you're a teacher maybe dealing with a student, or you're the student and you're in the classroom, or you are an employer and you are someone who's very daring by nature in how you do things, but you're working with a staff member who's more concrete, who needs to know proven pathways to do something. Those are the kind of, you know, situational differences and behavioral differences that can cause a rift in communication, that can cause relational friction. So being aware of it about yourself is obviously the key, but then being intuitive enough to try to understand those things in others so that one of you may have to give in that moment. And again, right now, everyone's at a heightened level of stress and anxiety and different things like that, that we're all trying to figure this out together. But who we are and how we're wired is going to determine how we show up every single time. So being aware of that is key. On the internet, now that's a place where you can actually think before you speak, especially if you're typing messages and in threads and things like that. But sometimes we read things and we wonder, did that person even think before they wrote that? Well, I don't know about all that, but I do know that that is also a moment where you get to decide how you show up. You might read a post and have a, you know, an instant response to that. It's the situational awareness to go, okay, right now, I normally would respond in a certain type of way, but does that serve me? Does that serve the world? Does that serve the purpose or our global purpose that we're working towards right now? How is this helping the situation? That is where behavior matters more than ever, is in those moments of that punch in the mouth. And it could be a slam in the mouth or even a little nudge. Either way, that matters. And then thinking about oneself. Again, I mentioned the behavioral superpower component. That's what we call them. There are 10 behavioral superpowers, and they are, and I'm looking so I don't forget any of them: influencer, which is my own; engager, community builder, relationship builder, facilitator, adapter, stylish thinker, reflective thinker, strategist, and initiator. And just based on the names of those particular behavioral superpowers, you can guess what type of profile that person might be. But even within that, there's behavioral fingerprints that make each person unique, meaning I'm an influencer, but so is my mother. I'm an outgoing, fast-paced influencer. She's a take charge, fast-paced influencer. either way, we have differences in how we think about results and relationships and flexibility and systematic, daring versus careful, or abstract versus concrete, promoting versus operating. These are all things where we are going to see things differently, even though we're both influencers. So that situational awareness tells me that I know where I'm someone who could be very flexible, extremely outgoing, loud, very creative. I don't care about thinking inside the box. You can take your box and shove it. I'm not interested, right? I'm going to create my own box because that's my nature to do so. And when I'm excited or scared or fearful or emotional, I'm even more of an outgoing, fast-paced influencer. So that is why it's important to have the self-awareness about yourself first, so that you can better understand others and not judge just because they do things differently than you. And then also figure out how to bridge the gap and meet people in the middle so that you can have harmonious conversations with them when everyone has been punched in the mouth right now. So behavior matters more than ever. My name is Kenyatta Turner, founder of Freedom Empire Consulting. And if you want to know more, you can just go to my website at freedomempireconsulting.com. But if you put /freebie after that, then you can have an opportunity to get a gift. And I call it the 10 super secret hacks to unleashing your behavioral superpowers. So I'm glad to be here. Thank you very much. And again, my name is Kenyatta Turner. Remember, hashtag behavior matters more than ever right now. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much. I really enjoyed your talk there and all. And you know, there's two things that just popped in my mind. I said, not only is this lady lovable, she's very likable too, because I loved your outgoing, bubbly personality.
Thank you.
And yeah, and when you said the fingerprints and all that, reminds me of something I like to tell people. I say, look at your fingerprints. You know, no one's ever had them since the beginning of time.
Nope.
No one had them at the end of time. But your challenge in life is how can you take your talent, your gifts, your love, your ability, everything, and leave imprints on other people.
I love that.
Yeah. And I don't know if I heard it. I don't want to take credit and say I invented it or anything like that, but please feel free to pass it along because
I'll take it.
more important and I may have heard that somewhere. I don't know. But anyway, it gives a clear picture of how special we're created. You know, we're just so special. And what our gifts are, we're not here for things. We put value on things we can see, touch, and feel, and buy, and all that.
Yes.
But we're really here is to, you know, live our life in love and abundance.
Absolutely.
And not worry about the things that we normally worry about. And your website again, would you be kind enough to share that?
Yes, it's from www.freedomempireconsulting.com. And if they put /freebie after that, they can get access to the freebie.
Okay. freedomempireconsulting.com.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Rito. And I tell you something, I'm going to bring Philip back on since Philip's been sitting there very patiently, because I want Philip to be able to share how he felt, you know, some things that he got out of your talk and all that. Let's see, your has to start video. Okay, Philip.
Wonderful.
Be sure and unmute your mic.
Hey.
Is that Nancy I see around the corner there?
Hi.
I got to tell you something, folks. Nancy's been on this show here twice. She was on a radio show, and she thought I'd be an excellent candidate for her to work with. And then after a little interview with me, she says, Jim, she said it had something to do with, wait a minute, I can come up with this. She said something had to have something to do with intelligence or something like that. Whatever that is, I don't know what that means. How are you today, Nancy?
Good. I just did an interview for Manifest TV, so
Good.
Good. How are you?
Fine. Did you by chance get to hear Miss Turner's talk there?
I did, and I also got to hear. I'm not going to try to butcher your name right now. How do you say your name?
Kenyatta.
Kenyatta. Yes. Yes.
That was really
I told her I
Thank you.
mispronounced the names correctly 100% first time.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Philip, you have a cool last name.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing about you.
Oh man.
So yeah, Kenyatta, thank you for sharing that so much. I think, you know, awareness of like where we're at emotionally and like, you know, being present you know, ourselves and confident in who we are, like in the moment, and while still having the ability to meet people where they're at.
Yes.
You know, depending on any sort of situation is, I mean, that's going to create, you know, so much more harmony between. Can you guys actually hear me?
You're
Yeah.
cutting in a little bit, cutting in and out, but I can hear you. Yes.
Yeah, I think my internet connection's unstable, and so it usually does this at really, really awesome times. Like
Of
right
course.
That's just the way Zoom and the internet is. I was, you know, me being the host, one time I got kicked off the show
That was my
3
that was our-
times. Mhm.
now. Oh, I remember
That
that.
was the show I
Yeah.
was on.
She was
I
like
had to be
stuck
the
on there.
Yeah. I learned my lesson. Every time I get on this thing, I make sure I bring a pocket full of quarters because I can't get by on my good looks anymore.
Buddy.
Oh my goodness. I tell you, you know, Kenyatta, I really got a kick out of the way you talked about how your mom's a certain way and how you're a certain way. And,
Yes.
you know, just, you know, I could just picture both of you together just being just two powerhouses of energy, really.
Well, you know, sometimes that was helpful, other times not so much. So, you know, if you consider that, you know, both of us having that same behavioral style, both being influencers, we know this now because we have done the exercises and we know what our behavioral superpowers are. My sister was a facilitator. She's much more planned and reserved. So we were two different children growing up, obviously, but my mother and I were always doing this.
Oh, yeah.
And we now have a very clear understanding of that, where we both, we know now why I was always trying to influence her, if you would, and she was trying to influence me. Right? Now she's the mom, and she was probably looking at me like, why are you not just listening to me? And I'm the kid, but I'm still who I am. So I'm like, I got something to say. Right? And so you can, you know, we talked about it. And she said, Kenyatta, if I had known this information when you were growing up and understood your sister in the way that I do now with this data, I would have handled things differently. I mean, we've had some very deep conversations as adults about this because, you know, sometimes we take things personal. Sometimes just my attitude and how I show up is something that someone may take personal. My sister might show up a different way and they might think that's different, but it's how we're wired. So it's not personal. It's just how we're wired. That's why it's so important to know that information. But her and I both, yeah, we've had our struggles for sure.
Be that way,
I
though.
remember.
That way.
I remember growing up, you know, my dad and I, we had a lot in common because, you know, him being my dad, and we bumped heads a lot, as you can imagine. And some of the things that like I tell people, I was a kid in the 50s and an overly intelligent teenager in the 60s, which is a nice way of putting a dumb kid, you know. But I remember my dad many times, he would talk to me about something. He said, son, he'd get frustrated with me. He said, exactly when did that seem like a good idea to you? And at the time, it seemed like an absolutely brilliant idea, you know. It's amazing. But, you know, it's really important that, you know, when you're with your parents and all, how you both grow up together to some degree, especially when you have your kids when you're young. You both grow up together.
Yes, yes.
And my daughter's catching me. I told her if I ain't careful, she's going to pass me. And you wouldn't believe the times when she gets ready for me to be serious about something. It's not dad, it's father. When she calls me father, I know then, okay, I'm skating on thin ice now.
Right. You better listen up. She's got something to say.
Yeah, I might need to take some notes too. But
And I love what you said. Sorry, Jim, I don't mean to interrupt.
go ahead, please.
I have, you know, my daughter, and I've always felt that just because she's young, it doesn't mean she doesn't know anything. And it's really about respecting her point of view, because she has taught me so much. Our children teach us so much. And so I love that you said that as a grown woman, because sometimes I'm like, okay, should I be treating her more like an authority and telling her like everything to do? Or should I be treating her, you know, with not that I don't respect her, but like as an equal, you know, because she's still a person. So thank you for sharing that, because I'm on the right path.
Absolutely. How old is she? How old is she? 2?
11.
11. I'm sorry, 11. Oh, yeah. Wait, 11? Okay. And okay, so here's something that's interesting. This exercise that we do, this discovery exercise, we can give it to children about the age of 12. And about 12 is when, because we have a charter school that we're starting, that this will be the first step that every student will do. They will know their behavioral superpower as well as all the instructors and everything. So about the age of 12, they can take this exercise, understand who they are at their core right now, because who she is right now won't change very much between now and adulthood. We sometimes say take it again at 18, because a lot of things obviously are still changing, their body's still growing and things like that. But the differences are very small. We've been doing this research for 30 years. So we know that even if they take it at 12 and they take it again at 18, it'll hardly change at all, because that's who they are. So what you can learn about her right now is pivotal. My mom says, she goes, Kenyatta, if at 12 I had known what I know about you right now that this piece of paper says,
Yeah.
she goes, it would have changed really how she approached me, and the things she may have been trying to calm down in me, she would have realized, don't waste your time. You know, Kenyatta is a talkative, outgoing person. You can't control that, you know, but she can teach and coach me to grow into a leader using those natural innate talents I have, but don't try to change them.
No.
That's
Right.
critical.
And so if you have a child who's very quiet and reserved, let's say, okay, how many times have an adult said to a quiet, reserved child, hey, you should come over here and hang out and come out and play and come out of your room, come talk to us. You know, why don't you respond quicker? Why are you so reflective? You know that a parent has said that to a child who they think the parent's doing them good by teaching them to be more outgoing, but it's actually causing anxiety for that child because that's not how they're wired. And so there's a way to do that to help them grow and change. But then there's also a line when you're trying to make them become something they are not.
Yeah.
And this information helps avoid that entire situation. It helps avoid the square peg round hole, I call it, right?
Yeah.
Because you can put a square peg into a round hole, it'll go in there. Okay. But how hard is it? How long is it going to take? How bloody is it going to be? How painful? Right. So we really teach people to avoid that situation by giving them the self-awareness so they can just walk in their greatness, I like to call it. So, and they can do that at a very young age.
Yeah. Yeah. She does.
She's already doing it now. Yeah.
It's interesting you say that, because when she was little, I stopped pushing her to go play and just let her. She's one where she has to see what's going on, and then she decides for herself whether or not it's the right situation for her. She's still like that, you know, and she's totally different than me.
Yep. She'll always be that way, right?
And it's already, like she's a social butterfly, and she's really coming out of her own shell, and it doesn't have anything to do with me. It's just holding that space for her.
Yeah.
Just respect her comfort zone and, you know, and build on that. You know.
Yeah. Let her grow.
I liked what you said there when you spoke about how parents will encourage their kids, come on over here and have some fun, and, you know, cut loose and all. And if they're not wired that way, I mean, it's just like throwing someone in the water who don't know how to swim. It's not, you know, it's not fair. It's not right.
It's not, and we're doing, you know, we believe we're doing what's best for them, you know?
Yeah.
And even think about as an adult, like think about relationships, adult relationships. I was doing a relationship profile with a couple just a couple weeks ago, and they both have very similar traits. But one huge difference is one is more reserved and quiet, while the other one is extremely outgoing. And I've seen the two of them walk into a networking event together. And one of them will walk in and talk to 15 people on the way in the door. The other one will walk in, look around, find a quiet place to sit and watch before they get comfortable to come around and be around everyone else. Now, that's happened in multiple situations in their relationship. They've been married like 10 years. But how many times, and they admitted there was times when the one who's very outgoing would be worried that the one who was more reserved wasn't having fun.
Right.
So they would approach them and be like, well, hey, how come you're sitting over here in the corner? Why are you doing that? You know, why not come over here? Or they would feel that, or they might, the other one thought, well, why are you running around talking to everyone? You know? So again, neither of those things had anything to do with the other. It had everything to do with how they were wired, what their behavioral style was. So neither of them was, you know, the one who took their time wasn't unhappy or not having a good time. It's just how they show up to a public place. But then when they saw it on paper, they're like, oh, because how often do people do things that we take personal and we think it has to do with us?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, you don't want to be here. You're acting like you don't want to be here. Well, no, I'm not. I'm just being me. Well, but do you really want to be here? I mean, couples bicker about all kinds of crazy stuff like that all the time because they think it has something to do with them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's,
And it
you know,
doesn't.
like the old saying goes, when two people are arguing, it's not that they're trying to solve the problem. They're both of them are trying to win their side of the argument. That's what
Absolutely.
keeps it going.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's really a wonderful, wonderful message you shared, because you were saying so many things. I'm going down memory lane. I'm saying, man, I saw that red light. I ran that red stop sign.
Yes, we all have. Absolutely.
Oh man, there's been times in my life I've done some dumb things. I could probably goof up a one-car funeral and then wonder what happened.
One car funeral. Jim.
Goodness.
Where do you get this stuff, Jim?
I come by it naturally. Trust me.
I
do.
love it. I love it.
You know, growing up in school, I mean, I was always, thought that I was, slower than the other kids.
Mm.
And then when I went into the military and then I took the ASVAB test, and they says, what is it you want to do? Because I got drafted and I got discharged from the draft and joined the regular army for 3 years. Choice of duty station, choice of, MOS, military occupational specialty. I said, you can do anything from accounting to welding. What do you want to do? And I don't know. He said, well, you tested above average intelligence. I'm going like, really? I mean, you better call my mother and tell her that. And if I tell her that, she's not going to believe it.
You're like, can you put that in writing, please?
Yeah,
I can get
yeah.
that to people.
It's like I tell like sometimes when I'm a speaker, I tell the joke about, that thing about us only using 10% of our brain.
Mm.
And that's a bunch of malarkey. But I said, one time, I walked in and, Walter Cronkite was on the news, and my parents were, listening to him, and he was talking about, scientists have proven we only use 10% of our brains and all that stuff. I said, my mother and dad, we got kind of surprised. They looked at each other and couldn't believe it. Then they looked at me and both of them got mad. And I thought, now what did I do? And then it ding donged on me. They probably thought when I was in school, I wasn't even using that much. Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, we've had a lot of fun today. And before we go, I'd like for Philip to share his email address, whatever you're comfortable with there, your website, how people can get in touch with you so you can tell them more. Would you be kind enough to share that, sir?
Yeah, of course. Everyone is totally welcome to reach out to me. We're doing this live on Facebook, obviously. So everyone is totally welcome to reach out to me directly on Facebook. I don't have a website right now, but I do have put this together a couple minutes ago. It's my email is Philip Turner, PhilipTurner @levelupmentoring.com, LVL mentoring.com, or LVL up mentoring.com. Sorry. And,
okay.
And I will respond to you.
Okay, great.
That's all I got.
And they can reach your email there, no problem.
Yeah.
Good deal. And Kenyatta, please, one more time, share with them how do they get in touch with you. And
Absolutely. My website address is it's freedomempireconsulting.com. And if you are interested in the 10 super secret hacks on how to unleash your behavioral superpower, you can go to www.freedomempireconsulting.com/freebie. I'm also on LinkedIn and Facebook and, social media channels near you. So please reach out. I'd love to chat.
thank you so very much. And ladies and gentlemen, all of our speakers, in fact, we showed earlier in the very beginning how we're at the messages of inspiration, hope, and support. All of the speakers are listed there on the Speakers Pathway. That's speakers with an S, speakerspathway.com. And Philip, this is his second time on. Nancy sitting beside him. She's been on twice before. Nancy Benitez, Benitez. And it was just so great to have two wonderful Turners on here. I'll tell you right now. Yeah, you guys, both of you did a wonderful, wonderful job. And I really appreciate all the good commentary. And most importantly, and I say this from the bottom of my heart, is that me being a host here and having great, guests on like you, you're the ones that make this show what it is. And I say the same thing when I'm on the radio, because we've had over 5 million downloads of our radio show, and it's because of all the great guests that we have. And the main thing is let the guest share the information, because that's why people tune in. And I'm just there to push buttons, and hopefully, sound intelligent. But
You do a great job.
thank you. But all, hey, I can take it. I can take it. You go ahead and tell me some more. But really, before we go, I always like to wish people, a happy birthday. And if it's your birthday today out there in birthday land, be sure and have a very happy and a very blessed birthday. And remember, all birthday cakes and all the special desserts that you love, they are health food on your birthday. So be sure and treat yourself, be good to yourself, love yourself. I'm Jim Grant. On behalf of Philip and Kenyatta, we want to thank you so much. And also Nancy that joined us here, we want to thank you so much. Give you guys a chance to wave goodbye. Hope you have a blessed day. Be good to yourself. We'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Nice to meet you, Philip and Nancy and Jim.
You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, Jim.